Welcome. Good morning. I am so sorry. It's 8:35. I was supposed to go live at 8:30 and there were Facebook issues. Facebook was not cooperating with me and I'm sorry about that. But welcome if you are here live, if you're watching the recording. That is wonderful too, and thank you for joining us. We're going to be journaling today. We're going to be doing some story creation. We're going to be awakening together since it's 8:30 in the morning. If you're here with me on the West Coast, we are going to be awakening together to the fact that this whole marketing beast is not the monster that most of us small business owners tend to think that it is, myself included. My name is Liz Catone. I am a trained and certified content marketer, and I'm also a mindfulness practitioner. I'm also a lifelong storyteller. I was an actor. I was a playwright. I still write. I write screenplays. I'm writing a novel. I love writing. I love journaling probably more than anything. I've been journaling my whole life, and I think it is so powerful and important for so many things in life, for our health, for our well-being, for our mental stability, and also for our businesses. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how to incorporate that for our businesses. Now, I was a little late today, so I don't know if anybody is on live with me, which is totally fine. I know there are some people who were going to join later, but if you are here live, please just throw a note in the comments, in the chat, letting me know where you are tuning in from, because I'd love to know if you're here. And if you're not, thank you for watching the recording. And let's just dive into it today. I am going to be going through my new journal, 21 Days to Awakened Marketing. It's a writing journal. There's a different prompt for every day for 21 days. And at the end of it, you come to that dreaded thing that we all have to put together for our businesses, your elevator pitch, your mission statement, whatever it is that you have been trying to crystallize for your business. This is a very fluid and organic way to get there. And as I've said before in these posts, you don't have to follow the journal in chronological order. I did create it intentionally to take you through a journey. You know, I really put thought into which prompt should go where, but I also don't think that I know you and your process, and you do. So if you feel like, you know, it's day 8 of your journey, but prompt 21 is really speaking to you, then flip forward to prompt 21. Just make sure to go back and do all of the other ones as well. This is a not a linear journey for everybody at all. So what I want to start with today is prompt 4. And I'm going to read it to you. We are not going to do it together because it's a long one. So this is one that if you haven't tackled yet, and by the way, if you don't have the journal yet, you can get it at www.lizwrite.com, LIZWRITE.com. And actually, if you type that in and you type /new-here, you will go straight to the Get My Journal page. But if you go to the website at all, you will find a link to it. You will find a pop-up to it to download your own journal. And if you have downloaded it, great. And if you have not, don't worry about that for today, because I'm going to read out the prompts. All you need is a journal of any kind, whatever your favorite way to write is. Just go ahead and grab that so that you can follow along. So the day 4 prompt is tell the story of your business as if you're telling your best friend. Like, where did it all start? When did you first get the idea? What's the journey been like getting here from there? And I give you 2 pages in the journal to do this, and I know it's not even anywhere near enough. That is just enough to get a start on this. And this is also not a prompt that you're really ever done with, because your business, whatever it is that you're creating for yourself in your life, the work that you want to put out there into the world, it is always unfolding. It is always changing. It's always evolving. So the story behind it is also going to change and evolve with it. And the more and more that you tell the story in your journal, and also to like trusted friends and family and people that you know, the more that you talk about it, the more that you will gain clarity around what's important to that story. So I want to tell a story myself. I was having a coffee the other morning last week with someone who I consider a friend now, but is a very new friend. Someone I really just met at a networking event. Not necessarily a potential client, just someone who we seemed to be kind of kindred spirits. I really like her business. I wanted to get to know her better. So we were having coffee, and I was telling her the story of how I got to doing what I do now. And I realized as I was telling it, because she was someone new in my life, so she didn't know my whole background. She didn't know all the things that led up to the business that I was launching now. Um, she needed to get filled in a way that sometimes people who I know better don't always need to get filled in. You know, they know me pretty well, so I can say, okay, well, I've been doing this and this, and now this is how I've decided to bring all that together. Well, I had to go back and explain it all to her. And I realized how much some of my background that I sometimes dismiss as part of my business story is actually really foundational to my business story. So, for instance, I had a health issue a few years ago. And that is really what kind of brought me to my knees and made me become really dedicated to my mindfulness practice, because I realized that it was all stemming from stress, and that that was the only way I was truly going to address what was at the root of all the different symptoms I was having because of this medical issue. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have incorporated that into my business now. I talk a lot about awakened marketing, and what that means is like being conscious with the message that you're putting out into the world. And most of the clients that I work with are people who are trying to bring more awakening into the world in some way. And that may be as a health or wellness coach, that maybe is like a parenting coach or an educator or a teacher. It may also be like trying to create more joy in the world. Maybe you could be a stand-up comedian. You could be anything that's going to bring more love and light and presence into the world, in whatever way that manifests for you. And my contention as a marketing expert is not to separate what you do from this marketing idea. Like, oh, okay, I have to kind of put that aside and put my marketing hat on and get really serious about building my audience and, creating a following and, creating a sales page and selling all of my products and figuring out what my products are, and all of that can really be integrated into your philosophy and the approach that you're already bringing to your work. Your marketing is really just doing what you do in a more public way. That's what it is. So that's the way that I approach my business. And I realized how much of that approach comes from my background as a mindfulness practitioner, my health story, even my background as an actor and a writer and a director. I was running a theater company when I was in my 20s, and honestly, the worst thing to me was marketing. That was like the part of the job I hated the most. I was like, I just want to make plays and put on plays, and why do I have to sell tickets to them? And why do I have to do this marketing thing? And that's so annoying. I absolutely hated that part. And so I never expected to get a certification as a content specialist. But that's what I ended up doing, because I realized that marketing is also really just an extension of storytelling, and the more that you tell your story, write it here in the journal, tell it to friends, tell it to family, talk about it, embrace your story and your whole story, not just, I went to school and here's what's on my resume. School and then this job and this job and this job and let me hear, but really your whole story, your holistic story of how you as a person came to be the one who's doing this work now, the better that you are going to create something that people will want to come to, that people will be attracted to, that people will go like, ooh, that's an interesting story. And I relate to that story. And I want to learn more and I want to know more. And that's all marketing really is. So I'm going to move on to let you guys do some journaling. But that was like my big thing for today was I wanted to talk about your story creation and how important that is. And I hope that you have some time today or this week to, put some time in your calendar and say, I'm just going to work on my business story today. I'm going to do some journaling about that, maybe 10 minutes a day for the next week. That would be awesome. If you have the bandwidth to do that, that would be great. But the next thing I wanted to do is a really fun thing. So I was going to have people write this one in the chat, but I don't think anyone was able to join live, probably because the broadcast started so late. So, which is totally fine. I know that there are people watching the recording. So, you guys go ahead and if you have access to the journal, you can print out this page or you can just open up this page while you're watching this on a different screen and write in your own journal. Or I'm going to hold it up. So if all you have is a paper and pen right now, that's fine. If you don't have paper and pen, then maybe pause and go grab that. But I'm going to read out day 11, and then I'm going to hold it up for you so that you can see it on the screen, because this is a really fun one. And sometimes it's good, like after you've been thinking about something as intense as your business story, to just do something really fun and bring some light and love to your work. So day 11's prompt is imagine putting together a party that would be totally fun and fulfilling for you. Where would it be? What, if anything, would it celebrate? Or would it just be a party for the sake of having a party? What kind of food, what decor, what activities would you have? Just like put together in your mind a super fun party. It could be a huge party that you would have 100 people to. It could be like, I want to have my 2 best friends over and have a little celebration. Okay. And then once you kind of just jot down, you can just bullet journal, just like do bullet points, do lists, write all over the page. It doesn't have to be any kind of nice prose, just like brainstorm some ideas about a super fun party. And then once you do that, the prompt is to write a note to the people you're inviting and invite them to the party. And think about like your closest friends, the people you know who are going to be excited about this party, and write them a note inviting them to it. So I'm going to hold that up for you so that you can see it. Hopefully you can kind of see it. There we go. I think the lighting is good there, so you can kind of see it. If not, you can always there, I'm going to hold it steady there. If not, you can always rewind the recording a little bit and take a look at it. So the reason I did this prompt is because you want all of the messaging that you're putting out there for your business, you want it to be as fun as this would be, and I don't know, maybe parties aren't fun for you, but for me, they've always been like super fun, especially once I had a kid, because then I could get really fun making themed birthday parties and figuring out what different Star Wars themed treats I can put together. And making, remember when we did the Star Wars party, we made pool noodles into lightsabers and did super fun stuff like that. And I just had a blast with all of that. And I think partly I had a blast because it was a break from work. It was a really fun distraction from work, right? And what I'm moving towards in my life is trying to engage in work that I don't need or want to take a break from. I'm not saying you shouldn't take a break from work, no matter how fulfilling your work is. You should definitely take mental health breaks and physical breaks and get enough sleep and rest and self-care and all of that. But I want to be as excited about inviting people to my business as I was about inviting my daughter's friends to that Star Wars party. That's how excited I want to be about my business. So that's why I put this kind of prompt together. And I think that the more that you can kind of practice doing things that are fun and feeling the joy of doing really fun things, and then saying, okay, how can I feel that joy in my business? How can I do something as fun for my business, and bring that to my business? The better that your marketing will be. All right. And the last one that I want to take a look at today is day 13. And this is a really important one. I'm just going to read it. Day 13 is close your eyes for a moment. You can go ahead and do that. And imagine a younger version of yourself at a time when you didn't know what you know now. And write a letter to this younger you. You can open your eyes before you start writing. But once you have that image in your head, write a letter to this younger you, telling them everything you wish they knew about how to be in the world or in their body. Everything you wish you could go back and tell that younger version of yourself about how to be in this world. And the reason I put this prompt together is because that's the ideal client for most coaches and teachers and trainers and conscious creators that I know. Most of us have been through some kind of a journey, and we've learned something. And, maybe we wish we could share it with the younger version of ourselves. Maybe we don't, because we really know everything happened the way it needed to happen to get us here. But that younger version of yourself, the one who existed before you had this awakening, this consciousness that you realized, oh, this is it. This is how I want to be in the world. This is what's going to bring me peace and serenity and abundance and happiness. And even when you're not happy, it's going to bring me acceptance, which is so much more important than happiness. Happiness comes, it just does. You can't avoid happiness, just like you can't avoid pain. It's part of life. But what really helps you to enjoy that happiness is acceptance of everything the way that it is. And most of my clients are trying to figure out, now that I have figured out that key, how do I share that with other people? And so if you can think of that younger version of yourself, that's often who you're trying to reach out to, because there are more of you out there. And a big part of marketing is just understanding who you're talking to, who you're trying to get your message to, and relating to them, and telling them a story, telling them a message, giving them information in a way that you truly believe is going to be helpful for them. If you don't know this, Google put out a content update last year, an update to how their whole search engine works. And it was a really, really big update. It's called the Helpful Content Update. And the whole point of it is just to make sure that in its search results page, in its SERP, when you type in, how do I eat more healthfully or something like that, that the results that it's showing to you on page 1 are truly helpful. They're not full of gimmicks. They're not full of clickbait. They're not full of, here's my trick that's going to change the world, and it's not true. They're full of true and helpful and information that has been written by humans for the purposes of helping people. And so that's what marketing is it's just helping people. And most of the people that I work with, that's what they want to do, is help people. So marketing is not a monster. Marketing is exactly what you want to do. It's just helping people in a more public way so that they can find you, and then bringing them into, take a deeper dive into some of your programs or coaching sessions or whatever it is that you're offering to them. All right. I do not have any, as far as I can tell, I do not have any comments in the chat. Again, I'm sorry that we started late today. So if you were planning to come live and you're watching the recording, I apologize that you couldn't be here live, but please do write some comments in the chat on the page, and go ahead and reach out to me, DM me even if you want to, and ask questions if anything comes up for you, if there's anything that that resonates for you, but that you need a little more explanation about, please feel free to reach out to me here on Facebook. This recording will also be posted on YouTube, so reach out to me in the comments there. You can also always get in touch with me at lizwright.com, all one word, Liz Wright, like you're writing, because that's what I do, .com. And I'm going to be here again next week. I'm going to make sure I know now. I figured out the bug, so I know how to show up right at 8:30, and I will be here. And I hope you will be too. All right. Have a wonderful week.